Welcome, everyone. This is Conchas y Café, Volume 8, Issue Number 1, our orientation session. Volume 8 indicates that this is now 8 years, 8 complete years of us offering Conchas y Café as a creative writing series and as a publication here in our community. So welcome, everyone. I want to first congratulate you on being a part of our program. For those of you that are returning, which is, I think, actually all of you, welcome back. And like I said before, the orientation for today is going to cover some of the new expectations that we have and new approach that we're taking in offering Conchas y Café zine. That said, for anyone watching this video later on YouTube or anyone who missed our orientation day, there is still an opportunity for you to join the program now. If you are still within the time period of basically the month of October. So as long as you join us within the month of October, beginning now up through to October, you might still be able to get some work in on time for publication. Otherwise, this is basically more for just your personal enjoyment. So we've got a lot to cover, so we're just going to kind of jump right in. Typically for Conchas y Café, we like to start off with a quote, but today, being that it is more of an orientation day, we're going to get just right into what our expectations are. My name is Luis Antonio Pichardo, for those of you that maybe don't know me, especially those watching later on YouTube, and I'm the founder and executive director of Distilled Arts. This paquete de orientación is being translated, so some of the pages here have been translated, some of them are in the process of still being translated, therefore this is incomplete. However, para los que necesiten la traducción, voy a intentar hacer un poco de traducción mientras dé la presentación, pero sin embargo todo esto se va a hacer disponible a través de Google Classroom cuando uno se inscribe. And just given the fact that most of you on the Google Meet session right now are predominantly bilingual, we'll just kind of continue on in English. Para empezar, Distilled Arts is a acronym. The name itself is DSTL Arts, and it stands for Develop Skills and Transcend Limits Through the Arts. Our mission statement is such that we are a nonprofit arts mentorship organization that inspires, teaches, and hires emerging artists from underserved communities. I started our organization back in 2012, at the end of 2012, and we started officially offering programming to the community in 2013. The purpose of Distilled Arts is really to give communities a space where they're able to not only develop the skills that they already have, but also potentially establish some new ones that help them overcome the mentality and stereotype of being a starving artist. We really do not believe in the idea of being a starving artist. We believe in our mission of being working artists. Art is a career, and we are doing what we can as an organization to help people achieve that goal of being a career working artist. Part of the way that we do that is by giving people, different forms of personal storytelling. We encourage you, especially in this program through Conchas y Café, to tell your own story in your own words. And it's also really important that you use every tool in your tool chest. If you are bilingual, by all means, write bilingually. If you feel more comfortable mixing English with Spanish or Chinese with English or whatever the case might be, please do not hesitate to do so. That is what we are here for. Also, almost all of our programs do culminate in some form of publication, whether it be through a zine, like Conchas y Café zine, or through a more formal anthology. We do try our best to always publish the works that are created by people in our programs who are from our community. Our programs, and me, as well as Abraham Jaramillo, who's on the call with us, our master teaching artist, we really do try to create lessons that help sort of guide your understanding of art and, to give you some reinforced tools. We also do provide you coaching along the way. So constructive criticism, especially from us and from your peers, is going to be very, very central to the, ultimately betterment of your work, really, when it comes down to it. So here we have that previous page in Spanish. Of course, como dije, Distilled Arts sí significa algo, significa desarrolla habilidades y trasciende límites a través de las artes. Y desde el año 2012 hemos estado ofreciendo varias oportunidades a la comunidad para que no solo aprendan, sino también publiquen su trabajo a la manera escrita, a la manera que es más representativo de las experiencias de la comunidad. Our various programs include not only Conchas y Café, which is the reason why you're here today, but also Art Block, which is what we call our love letter to LA and the arts. It's also going to be the revamped name to our podcast that we started earlier this year. The podcast itself currently features interviews with artists, local artists, as well as some small performances. In the future, it's basically going to be continuing the same sort of format. But the zine that's published through the Art Block program is an annual zine, going to be an annual zine now, that specifically gathers work from LA County-based artists. And it's going to be, publishing work that is specific to a theme that we change every year. You can visit our website to learn more about all of the different programs that we offer. And Art Block is, again, one of them that has an open call for submissions. Artistic Zine, another one that does have open calls for submission on an annual basis, is a zine that is specifically created to celebrate the creativity of the autistic community. We specifically gather artwork that's created by artists who are on the spectrum, artists with a U, as we call them, who specifically live in the United States. The next issue is actually going to come out in a couple of weeks, along with the new issue of Art Block Zine as well. Creative Impact is an annual series of community-based social justice-themed workshops that are led by teaching artist interns from our Poet Artist Development Program. Basically, the people that are working with us directly in the Poet Artist Development Program come up with workshops that have a theme to them. They're all universally themed around a particular social justice issue that is impacting our community. And we use art as a way to get the community to not only understand better the issues that are impacting our community as a whole, but also as a way for them to express themselves and maybe even offer some solutions to some of the social justice issues that we experience every day. The Poet Artist Development Program is a program that specifically works with emerging artists from historically marginalized communities in the development of new skills that help them become working artists. That program in particular is a multi-component program. Again, that is also the program that offers internships for emerging artists. But the main idea there is that we get individuals to, basically develop their career path in the arts. And again, the reason why we're here today is specifically for Conchas y Café zine and the workshop series. So to be transparent with all of you who are in the program, we want to tell you what our goals are and what our commitment to you is. The program goals are partly what we receive the funding from the California Arts Council, the LA County Department of Arts and Culture, and also the City of LA's Department of Cultural Affairs funding for. So these goals are not only, the benchmarks that we, will help us continue to get funding, but they're our commitment to you, the things that we promise that we will provide over the course of this year and beyond, should we continue to get the funding. So 3 times a year, we will offer 12-week-long bilingual creative writing workshops for the community in the form of Conchas y Café zine, of course. And at the end of every 12 weeks, we will publish 3 new issues of Conchas y Café zine. And along with that, we will have a celebration of the release of each issue, which usually will take the form of some form of a public reading, whether it be virtual or in person. Just given the pandemic and the way that our program has evolved, we've decided to mostly keep this virtual. However, that doesn't mean that we won't try to schedule at some point some sort of in-person activity for everyone in Conchas y Café. It's also our commitment to you to provide you with constructive criticism on new works of poetry or writing that you produce through our program. Every time that we have a lesson, you'll be getting some sort of a writing prompt or some sort of creative exercise that will hopefully inspire you to create something new that is focused on the theme of each issue. This particular issue that we're working on is going to be focused on the theme of voice. So over the next 12 weeks, we're going to be discussing the concept of voice and some of the tools that you would use as a writer to develop your own voice. Now, our expectations of you in order for us to be able to meet these goals are, a few. As you can see here, that includes actively participating in not only the creation and editing of your work, but also submitting your work for review. If you don't submit work for review in a timely manner, there's no way for us to give you timely responses, timely feedback. This also means submitting it early enough so that other people in the program will have a chance to also read your work and give you feedback as well. We're going to play around a little bit with the ways in which we share this work with people, but just know that either myself or Abraham will be assigned the work as it comes in, and we will then pass it on to other people within our cohorts. You also are expected to attend all the lessons and workshop sessions in a timely manner. I realize that some of you have jobs that might go up to the time when we start. And I know also that in the past we've had people join in during their lunch breaks, which is great. Of course, if you're able to participate in that way, definitely that's awesome. When it comes to us doing the workshopping sessions, though, where we actually use breakout rooms, it's really, really important that you show up on time. Every Tuesday, we will start at 6:30 p.m. And no later than 6:40. 6:40 tends to be kind of like the grace period, the end of the grace period for people logging in. Because it's virtual, it should not be that difficult to log in at 6:30. But again, we give you a small grace period before we finally get actually fully started with the session of the week. If you're not able to make it, you are also expected to commit to watching the lesson recordings. So if you miss a session, it'll help you to get caught up if you watch the recordings afterwards. Every other week will be recorded, including obviously this session and next week's first lesson. After that, it'll be every other week. The weeks that we have the workshopping, but that's just workshopping. There's no need for us to record. But do be aware that there will be recordings made available a few days after every week that we have a lesson. It's also expected that you be genuine in your constructive criticism. When you receive work from your fellow participants, take the time to really read their work, analyze it, and give them feedback, because the expectation is that they will be doing the same for you. It's a great way for us to not only get to know each other, but it's also really, really valuable to get multiple perspectives on your writing. That's really, in my experience, and generally speaking, in everyone's experience, the best way in which you can grow as a writer. We also ask that you help us and encourage the safe learning environment that we try to maintain here. Remember, you're reading other people's work, and through that process of vulnerability, just be aware of your biases, right? Be aware if you think that the content is maybe not necessarily something that you would write, that's okay, because it's the other person's artwork and it is valid, equally as valid as yours. So remember, we are here to encourage and promote a safe learning environment that is free of judgment, bias, and prejudice. And of course, there is an expectation that you would dedicate the appropriate amount of time that you need in order to be able to fulfill the other requirements. So, the hour-and-a-half workshop, the session itself, every Tuesday, that's one obvious time commitment. But also, committing to reading the work of others might take you like another hour out of your week, hour and a half. So keep that in mind. Keep in mind that there is an expectation that you would be contributing outside of just being here in attendance. And lastly, we want you to definitely communicate with us actively and openly while you're involved in our program. If you feel like you're running behind, or if you're not able to meet deadlines for whatever reason, let us know so that way we can adjust accordingly. If you are, I don't know, struggling personally in some other aspect of the program, if you feel like someone is not living up to any of the other expectations, definitely let us know so that way we can address it early on and not, start to have a breakdown of our little community here. So, the program, like I mentioned already, is going to have essentially two components. It's also primarily going to be conducted virtually using a combination of Google Classroom, where we'll be sharing the handouts and all the other materials, as well as sharing announcements and updates, and Google Meet. So Google Meet is the platform that we're using to meet every week, and the link for meeting will be shared on Google Classroom within 24 hours of the next time that we meet. So it's usually the same day in which I share it. That way most people have it at the top of their inbox. I might share the link the day before, but just keep in mind that it will almost always be shared within 24 hours of the next session. So definitely be sure to stay on top of your emails. The creative writing lessons are going to happen on the dates that you see here, beginning with next week, the 13th. That's the first creative writing lesson. These lessons, we will provide you with a handout, something that you can download the day before or a few hours before, so that way you can take notes if that's a way that works for you. Either way, the lessons, the handouts, and obviously the recordings are going to be shared under the classwork tab on Google Classroom after the original day. There will be homework, we call it, assigned after every session, and we're going to do our best to get you started on your homework during the workshop session itself, during the lesson. So that way, in the case of next week, the 15th, you will have your first homework assignment completed and ready to send. Keep in mind that when we say homework, it doesn't mean that it has to be a completely polished poem. It could be something that you started, maybe a rough draft, like a first version that maybe isn't entirely complete. But as long as you submit something to us, we will then be able to give you constructive criticism and maybe give you some ideas for how you can move forward with your writing. The following week, the 20th of September, in this case, that is going to be the writing workshop session. So these writing workshop sessions, it's really, really important that you turn in your work before these sessions. We're asking that you do it no later than the Thursday before the workshop session. And the reason for these sessions is to give you the multiple perspectives of other people who are also in the class. Not just me and Abraham, but also your compatriots in poetry. And, that's going to be a way also for you to see other people's approaches to the writing prompts. So the lessons are going to alternate week after week. As you can see here, again, the schedule is such that the 13th is our next lesson, with your homework being due on the 15th, and then the workshopping the following week on the 20th. Then September 27th will be the next writing lesson, with 2 days later your homework being due, and then on October 4th we will workshop your work as a group. And it's just going to continue to alternate all the way up until we reach the final day of class, which is the 22nd of November for this particular series. So over the next couple of basically months, we are going to be building up towards, a collection of at least 5 poems or pieces of writing that you create that you can potentially submit for publication in the next Conchas y Café zine. Any questions so far? Miss Luz, I see your hand is still raised. Or was that from earlier?
That's from earlier. Sorry, I can't seem to remove it.
Okay, just want to be sure.
By the way, sounds like a great plan.
All right, thank you. We definitely want to make sure that people are given the opportunity to get as much feedback as possible. This past year, obviously with the pandemic, things were took a little bit of a learning curve, right? There was ways in which we were trying to adapt, and so this has been one of the ways in which we hope we're able to give you the best experience possible, given the tools that we have. So, all right, so let's continue on. Now, one thing to keep in mind, right, is that because this is all virtual, there's certain tools that are going to be the tools that we ask you to use. And some of the tools I think are going to be really for your benefit in the long run. Google Classroom specifically is the platform that you already should more or less be familiar with. You signed up for the workshop, you're here today, so to a certain degree, you should kind of know how Google Classroom works. And one thing to note, you do not have to have a Google specific email address to either subscribe to Google Classroom or to use it, or Google Workspace. And Google Workspace is a collection of different applications that you can use, which includes Google Docs and Google Drive. Workspace also offers things like Google Sheets, which is like Google's version of Microsoft Excel. But the ones that we're going to focus on the most are going to be Google Docs and Google Drive. So Google Docs specifically, just like with the rest of Google Workspace, it is entirely web-based. So that means that if you have access to the internet, whether that be on a smartphone, on a tablet, a laptop, or a desktop computer, as long as you have internet access, you will be able to access Google Workspace. Google Docs specifically is going to be the app that we ask you to share your work with. It's essentially a mirrored version of Microsoft Word. If you are normally used to writing using either Microsoft Word or Apple Pages, which is Apple's version of Microsoft Word, you will be able to easily copy your work on whatever app or program you're using and paste it onto Google Docs. On here, I'm providing for you the commands, the shortcut keys for copying, which would be Control-C on a PC or Command-C on a Mac. And then you paste using Control-V on a PC or Command-V on a Mac into a Google Doc. Again, Google Docs are web-based. So that means that when you create a new document using Google Docs, it's going to get saved automatically using Google Drive. Google Drive is kind of like a flash drive, or if you're familiar with Apple's iCloud, it's the same basic concept. Dropbox or Apple's iCloud. It's all in the cloud, as they call it. And that's where it's automatically going to save. You don't have to worry about hitting any kind of save buttons. As long as you correctly title your document, you'll be able to find it easier later. The nice thing about Google Docs as well is that there is a share button that you can use to then easily from within Google Docs send us an email with the Google document attached. There's no need to do any kind of special attachments, no need to write emails. It'll be much easier to share your work in this way. So again, Google Drive, it is the location where your Google Docs will automatically get saved. Now, in order for some of that to maybe be a little bit more easier to understand, I'm going to walk you through the process of creating a Google Doc from within Google Classroom. So let's say you log into Google Classroom, you go to classroom.google.com. You're going to see on your little home screen here all the different classes that you are registered for, right? So most of you are here for Conchas y Café, and this is what it's going to look like when you click on the Conchas y Café tile. You'll see here the stream, right? And on the stream, this is a place where you can upload different files. You can share even YouTube videos, things like that on here. If you're teaching a workshop or something like that, you can also share it here by uploading the flyer or whatever the case might be. Just keep in mind that anything that you post here under the stream, all of this is going to be viewable by the rest of the people in the class. So if you're trying to send either me a direct message with some private information, or Abraham, if you're trying to contact him with a private message that isn't relevant to the entire class, it's easier to do that if you send us an email. And of course, we'll share the emails with you later. But this is a space for you to just make general announcements, to share things with the rest of the class. Now, if you go to classwork, I'm going to hit OK there. You go to classwork. This is where you'll be able to see other things that get posted, such as the materials, the handouts that I'll be posting later, that kind of thing. But when you go to classwork and you go to class drive folder, here is going to be a space where you then get to see your particular folder where all of the documents and handouts that are yours, that are like your copies, they're stored specifically for you in Google Drive. If you notice up here in the top corner, the little drive icon has popped up. And, this is a space where, again, you can keep your work organized for this particular class. You'll also see your handouts, your copies of the handouts and things like that. Now, if you go to New, the little icon over here that has the little plus sign, if you click on New, you'll see this little drop-down menu that allows you to create either new Google Docs, new Google Sheets, presentations, which are called Google Slides, Forms, and more. I think I heard a question, a hand raise. Jess?
Oh yeah, I have a question. Can you just go back to where you just went for that? I saw it, but I didn't register it. Yeah. And then so when we go to that, so if we submit it on Google Docs and we share it with you and Abraham, right, our work, our homework, the corrections and all that, is that going to be in that spot?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Louise, did you get it in the chat?
Yes, I saw the chat. Thank you, Elena.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go back here so that you can follow the whole process. All right. So again, let's say you log into Google Classroom, right? You go to classroom.google.com. You sign in using the email address that you used to register for the class. You'll see this here on your little home screen, and you'll click on the class, right? And here you can see Elena already took advantage of the ability to share documents, right? So that's what you see under the stream. You see the ability right here to share announcements with the class, to make comments, etc. When you click on classwork, the tab that's called classwork, it takes you to this particular window. There's obviously no assignments here yet, but this is where I will be uploading things like the recordings, the handouts, all of that. When you click on the little icon over here that says Class Drive Folder, click on that, and then a new window will open up. And this is the folder where all of the work that is uploaded to Google Classroom by us will appear. So here on this screen, you would see like all of the PDFs that are associated to this particular class. And if you want to keep all of your documents in one place, you can just simply go over here to New. And then here is where you then are able to either create a new Google Doc. So if you go to Google Docs, that right there, blank document, and then voila. Now you have a new document. I see.
We got Luz.
Is that Miss Luz? Question, Miss Luz? Or San Juanita? See a hand raised from
Yeah.
San Juanita.
Yeah. I did raise mine, right? Yeah, I did.
Yes.
So you okay, let's say I do my work the way you're saying it. I open a file, right? But then you get rid of the materials. That's gonna take my stuff away, right?
Theoretically, it shouldn't. You should theoretically keep a copy in your folders.
Because normally what I do is I create it in my account, then I share it into your, like, that's how I upload my work.
Yeah.
I don't create it in like the way you put it, because one time I remember I shared it with you and it said that I was not the owner anymore. And I'm like, what?
That might have been because I either received it as a Microsoft Office document and had to convert it to Google Docs. So that might be why.
So I think it's better that I work from it, because I will probably forget to make a copy. So just to, I can do it like that, right? Just do it on my, do it from my Google Docs.
Yeah.
And then share it onto or upload it. When it says upload, I just look for the file and I find it in my docs, in my Google Docs.
Right. Yeah.
I can do it like that too, right?
Yeah, that's another way that works. Yeah.
Okay.
But keep in mind that Microsoft Word is not the same thing as Google Docs. They're two different programs.
I don't know Microsoft Words.
Okay.
This is that one. Oh, Word. That's Word, right?
Yeah, Word.
No, but you know what I do? Sometimes when I do it on Word, I open up a Google Docs and I copy and paste onto the Google Doc. So it can stay there, because you know what?
Right.
I have a hard time finding my work in my computer. It's happened so many times that I do Word and then I'm like, where did I put it? You know? So I know that if it's in the drive, it has to be there, you know? All right. Just wanted to make sure. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, no problem. Abraham?
Well, just to follow with that, turn it higher. I think the best thing is for everybody who has a computer, go and make a folder that says DSTL Arts, and also put the year and the program, and then start putting your work there. And again, you can create it in Google Docs, Word. Just get the file, and then copy and paste into the way Luis is saying. I think that'll be the best. So you have a clean copy of your work. If something get erased or something get too many messages on it, you have that copy, but still you have the original, so you can work with the original better. So make sure you do that, and it'll be easier for you to keep track, and also put the names and the titles, maybe even the number of the assignment. That'll be easier for you to track, like San Juanita, who's thinking like, how do I keep track? Like, put the folder name, year, and then you start putting the assignment numbers or in the title of the piece that you want, and that should be easier to keep track. That's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, honestly, the better you are about naming your files with easily searchable names, the better. You know, so if you're using the date that you created it, then that way you can, look it up much faster if you're using the lookup tools. The same goes if you're, basically creating work that you're migrating from Microsoft Office to Google Docs. Just as you're doing that, just be organized and keep folders of your work, digital folders. All right. Thanks for the heads up, Maria. So that's, those are different ways in which you can approach, the use of folders and that kind of thing. And San Juanita is correct. You can also access your Google Docs by just simply going to Google Docs. But this is a way in which we're asking everyone to share their work with us. So that way we have less confusion when we're receiving multiple emails and, duplicate emails and things like that. Because all you have to do after you create your new document, come up here to, the title, right? New document from Luis. So this is a way in which we can do that. Like I said before, personally think it's a great idea to title your things with the date. Today's date is the 6th, 9/6/22. Now that I have the title saved, when I come over here to the button that says share, when I click on share, a little window will pop up. And this little window, if you have, your email addresses already kind of saved here, Once you start typing in the person's name who you want to share it with, like if you want to share it with me, for example, it'll automatically pop up. You just click on the name and then it auto-populates it for you. Now, if I want to share it with Abraham, again, because I already have his email address in my address book, I just click on it and there we go. You can leave the editor thing on, but if you choose, you can also have it be just a commenter or a viewer. Again, that doesn't really make a big difference. And if you want to share a message, you can just do so in the little window here that says message. And this would be new assignment 49622. Again, that makes it really easy for us to be able to search our emails and find the work that is, expected of us to be reviewed. Then we click send, and that's it. No need to do any other attachments, no need to send any other emails. I will get a notification in my email that I have a new email sent from Luis, the student. Abraham right now is going to be getting an email saying that he got a new assignment from Luis, the student. And then from there, both he and I will be able to go on here and actually make changes or do suggested edits. And as you can see, you might be able to see there, Abraham is already checking the work. So this is going to be a way in which we're able to give you feedback on your writing directly on the writing itself. And it's also going to be a way for us to then also share with other people in your cohort once we assign it. That way other people in the class will get a copy of your writing and also have an opportunity to do the same. As far as you doing comments, right, for other people, the best way to give a comment on someone's writing is by highlighting it and then using the little tools that will come up here. You can either suggest edits, or what's even better than suggesting an edit is you use the little comment button right here. So you add a comment, and then here, this is how you add a comment. And these comments can be ways in which you basically acknowledge people's work. You can, maybe make line break suggestions. You can tell them that their metaphor is working well, or, suggestions for making the metaphor stronger. That's going to be the best way to provide people with feedback. And for you, the author, right, the original person that owns this document, when you open the document again later, you will be able to go over the highlighted parts and you'll be able to see exactly who commented and what they said off to the side here. And that's going to be a great tool for you to be able to make your adjustments as you need. Now, let's say you did all of that work, right? You created the document. So again, we're going to go back to the very beginning. You log into Google Classroom. It's Tuesday night. You're about to get ready to come to class and you want to see what kind of feedback you got. You log into Google Classroom. You go to the class, click on classwork. And then again, you go here, class drive folder. Click on that and then voila, here it is. See, the document that I created earlier was automatically saved. I click on it now, double click on it, the new window pops up, and here I see exactly what has been added. I see the comment as it was made. I see Abraham's additions here, and there's nothing that I need to do. There's no saving. There's no other special little things that I need to remember. Everything is all already unified in one place. And again, if I have the app for my phone or for my tablet and I download Google Docs as an app, I can also access it there. This is one of the other ways in which you can access it. But let's say I have the app, right? I have it open here. And this right here is going to be the new document that was created. And again, doesn't matter how I accessed it, the comment is still there. Abraham's changes are still there. And everything is all in one place, easy for me to review. So, does anyone have any questions? That's a good way to name your documents, as Abraham is putting it there. It is easy to find your documents if you use the date. Yes, to answer Karen's question. I'm not going to require it, but I highly, highly, highly recommend it. In other words, it's required. But yes, and make sure you put your name too, as Abraham is suggesting, because that way we know who we're looking for and what the date is that we're looking within. So, perfect. Any other questions? No? All right. So, let's go back to our packet. Now, giving constructive criticism kind of, is something that I've noticed that we've struggled a little bit with in the past. All right, some of our participants kind of are a little shy when it comes to it, and that's okay. I totally understand. When you're critiquing a person's work, it can sometimes feel like you're being put on the spot. However, the purpose of it is to really give people a good sense of whether or not their work is effective. Remember, there's no such thing as good art or bad art, only effective art or ineffective art. Right? The effectiveness of someone's writing, someone's piece of art, is really, really important because that is how we communicate. If it's an effective piece of work, it's effectively communicating. And part of giving constructive criticism is to really give people the respect that their work is due. Like it says here, approach all work with respect. And if you're going to say, I like it, and you're not really prepared to say more, just keep in mind that we will expect you to come with a more detailed explanation as to why you like it. It's not enough to just like it. You have to really understand why you like it. And we want you to communicate that to your fellow participants. It's also really important that we do not critique content. The content being, the subject matter that a person is writing about. Just because a person is writing about a pair of shoes doesn't mean that it's not poetic. It's their poetic interpretation of shoes. Just like maybe if you're writing about a rock and its impact on, the environment, the rock can be a metaphor for something else. So we're not going to critique people's content. We're only going to critique people's form. But what I mean by form is not only like, the way in which it's structured on the page, the way it looks on the page. We're also going to talk about things like the metaphor. If there's, similes, if there's other things that are thematic that you see happening in the poetry, those are the things that make up the form. And those are the things that you would want to address. It helps to refer to techniques, phrases, or moments that you recognize are central to the work that's being reviewed. So if you see a repetition, or if you see a theme that is coming up over and over again in a piece of writing, those are the things that you want to point out. And you want to point them out to say either that's working really well, or, this is a subject that I see you kind of addressing, I'd like to learn more about it. Constructive criticism, when all else fails, you can take the two things that you like approach and one thing that you feel can be improved on. Remember, two things that are working, one thing that can be made better. That's at the bare minimum what we're expecting of you when giving constructive criticism to your fellow classmates. Now, when it comes to receiving and implementing it in your own work, again, sometimes, it can feel a little overwhelming to get a bunch of different people telling you what they like and what they think is, an area of improvement in your writing. Remember that it's not personal. It's really important to remember that this isn't about the content. No one is speaking to, the things that you're saying. It's just wanting to get a better understanding of what it is that's being presented. And ways in which you can kind of absorb that information is by obviously being attentive and engaged, right? So you're going to proactively listen. You're going to take notes if it helps you to handwrite notes. But more than anything, you're there to listen and not so much to speak when it's your turn, right? The more you limit what you say, the more you limit the sort of explanation of what created what the inspiration was, the more time people can take to address what it is that is important to the writing and to make it better. It also helps to remember that any questions that are raised by your reviewers will be similar questions that your audience will have. If your I don't know, your fellow classmate doesn't understand a word, it could be possible that other people, when the writing is read out loud in the community, other people might not understand that word or understand what you're trying to say. So, think about that. Just consider the fact that if one person has a question, there's probably more people that have the same question. It's also really good to remember, again, that criticism is not personal, it's transactional. You are receiving as well as giving the criticisms, right? You're there to help another person better their craft as much as they are there to help you better your craft. No one is an expert in creative writing. I might have a master's degree in creative writing, but by no means does that make me a master of it. It's just a piece of paper that somebody said at one point made me, aware of certain things. Even as the teacher, I don't know everything. And, neither should you. You don't have to be an expert, but you should be an expert in at least what you know and what you can understand. So ultimately, constructive criticism is about that. It's about really saying, this is what I understand. This is what I'm getting from your piece. Am I right or am I wrong? And if I'm wrong, then, help me understand, help me be a better audience member. And in the end, that's going to be a great way to approach giving constructive criticism. Now, there are some vocabulary words that we will be covering as the weeks go on, but here are some of the main ones that we typically use when we're talking about writing. We're not going to go in detail in this particular list, but we have things like metaphor, simile, line break, stanza break, and jammment is one of my favorites. That's one that I know I say all the time. Repetition. We also have anaphora, epistrophe, alliteration, assonance, consonants, meter, and rhyme. So those are some of the most common vocabulary words that we use when we're giving people feedback on their writing. This quick little list of definitions is going to be handy for you to have when you're reviewing people's work, but it's also going to be something that we'll actually examine as we're going through the next few weeks. And Abraham, question?
Just to add to that, I think it will be good if you guys have just a document that says words or words for poetry or for writing, and have your own list, because you're gonna end up learning new things every now and then, even from other classes you may be taking. So it'd be good to have them, especially if you wanna start writing or checking somebody else's work, and you have a bunch of words that you can probably use later, which are better to define whatever you're trying to communicate. So make your own list, basically, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it might help you as you develop your own vocabulary for giving people feedback. San Juanita?
Where do you have those, Luis? I know you were showing us that.
Yeah, this packet I'm going to actually upload to Google Classroom along with the recording, so you'll have the full list available to you as well.
But I mean, it's gonna be here in the drive here, or?
Yeah, in Google Classroom.
Okay. Yeah. All right, thanks.
So once I upload it under the classwork tab, that's where you'll be able to find it and download it. And again, some of these things we're actually going to explore a little bit more during the next 12 weeks also. So there'll be things that we'll really get to kind of know and be familiarized with. Any other questions? All right. We're almost done here with the packet. So there are going to be occasionally moments where you might want to contact us. Some of the obvious ones for us to be aware of is if you're going to be absent from the program for a while, for a couple of weeks. If it's more than 1 week and you know you're going to be absent, let us know. That way we can either work out a way to get you caught up or, find, I don't know, some other form of support that you could potentially need. Also, definitely contact us if you have any kind of questions or concerns about the program. If you feel like something isn't working for you, if you think there's a way in which we can improve a process, let us know. We are definitely open to improving the process of your involvement and other people's involvement in our programs. If you're having any kind of trouble with Google Classroom or Google Workspace, which includes things like Google Drive, Google Docs, Google Sheets, all of those other things, let us know. We might be able to help you with some tutorials that Google provides through YouTube. If it's something a little bit more technical related to your personal laptop or your personal devices, that's something that maybe we can help you out with, or we can refer you to someone that can. But do let us know and we'll try our best to support you. Also, in the past, I've had people actually from outside of our program contact me or express interest in our programs because someone like you, a participant, have talked about our program to someone else. So if there's any kind of outside organizations or community members that have questions or who are interested in learning more about Distilled Arts, contact us. Pass their information along to me or pass our email addresses to them so that they can contact us directly. It's always better to involve us if someone from outside of our programs is asking questions or showing interest in the programs. A couple of other things to remember: that you are representing Distilled Arts and our mission as a participant in our programs. So we do ask that you not misrepresent our programs, our mission, or our staff when you're talking about Distilled Arts or the Conchas y Café workshops within your community, within your network. We've had moments where I've actually have had to contact a newspaper, a local newspaper, because they completely got wrong information that was very important for our programs. So, like anytime that you are talking to other people outside of our programs, definitely talk to us first, make sure that they're aware of us. That kind of goes with the second one. Should you be presented with an opportunity to speak about Distilled Arts or our programs with your network, please talk to us first. The last thing that we want to see happen is you be put on us in a situation where you can't answer questions about Distilled Arts. And you are made to feel like unprepared. So we definitely want to give you the chance to prepare before presenting about Distilled Arts. Again, if you have any kind of doubts or questions, ask us for clarification. We are definitely here for supporting you. And kind of along in that vein, both Abraham and I do practice graphic design and photography as well as creative writing. So outside of Distilled Arts, we do offer those services to people. But of course, if you are looking for, someone to design a flyer for you, or someone that is maybe going to take your photos or headshots, that kind of thing, keep in mind that we do reserve the right to work outside of the programs with you, but at the rates that we charge for our freelance services. It wouldn't be included as part of being a Conchas y Café participant. Also,
Luis, did you get it in the comment below? Did you get any comments?
I saw that you posted something, Elena. Thank you.
Yeah.
Also, because we do publish people's work, I get asked a lot if we are open to publishing manuscripts. We don't accept unsolicited manuscripts for publication. If you know someone who is interested in publishing a book but is not interested in being a part of our programs, and all of the different benefits of being in our programs, then you can still pass their information along to me or have them talk to me, and I'd be more than happy to refer them to other resources that maybe would work for them to publish their work. But again, we don't take unsolicited manuscripts. It has to be something that is completed through our programs. And, that's just a way for us to be fair to everyone that enters our programs. And lastly, we want to say welcome. You're part of our Arts Fam. For the longest time, we've been using that hashtag ArtsFam to basically talk about everyone that comes into our programs. And, we do behave in some ways as a little family, even moments where we might kind of get on each other's nerves. But, we're here to support you always. You can always consider Distilled Arts as a resource. And, as long as you want us as a part of your life, we will be there for you, either in a professional way, in some sort of creative way, and even to celebrate any kind of personal achievements that you are fortunate enough to have while in our programs. Of course, you have our email addresses here, Luis@dstlarts.org or Abraham@dstlarts.org. Angie Angelica Castañeda is also part of our team. She is our program assistant. Every now and then, she might pop into our meetings on Tuesdays, mostly to just sort of check in. And if in case either myself or Abraham are absent, Angie might step in on our behalf. And for anybody that is interested in learning more about our other programs, you can always go to our website, dstlarts.org, and you can obviously follow us on all the social medias using @DSTL Arts. And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the end of the orientation. So,
End of your orientation and the beginning of our new class.
Yes.
Yay! I had to get something in tonight.
All right. But yeah, does anyone have any questions before we begin this new journey together?
I just have a question.
Yes,
So,
Elena.
my question is, so for the creative writing, should I write the books or should I share on Google Docs what I read?
Well, on Google Docs, you'll share the things that you write, not what you read, but what you write. Does that make sense, Elena?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So hopefully this time you'll write some brand new things that are not from the books that you read.
Okay.
All right.
Are we still recording?
We are recording at the moment. Yes.
Oh,
Did you?
well, I guess it's okay to ask. Why did Abraham says on your instruction, no bueno, no good? I know it was just as a, showing how he had received your work, but he couldn't think of anything else. He could have said, very good. No bueno.
Because it captured your attention. That's why. And it worked.
Very good. Muy bueno.
Exactly. Yeah. You know how I said that sometimes we get on each other's nerves as a family? Abraham's that annoying little brother, even though he's older than me. Just kidding. I love you, Abraham. You're the best.
No, we love you. Yeah, he's a little. I like the way he do things. He reminds me of my little nephew.
There you go.
Yeah, that's cute. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're
And
definitely
we
are.
are family.
I'm sorry.
I said we are family. Remember that song?
Oh, yeah.
We are family. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
that's us.
Yeah, we definitely want to maintain that vibe. Abraham does keep it fun. I definitely want to always ensure that everyone feels comfortable and safe in our spaces. So for that reason, we really are doing what we can to be open, to communicate with you. And, that's essentially our goal, to always have you feel comfortable and, feeling like you're in a safe space where you can share your personal writing. Because in the end, the practice of art is a personal art. It's a personal practice. And, we can do that in community. And as long as the community is respectful of one another and really genuinely supportive of one another, I think that we can get very far together. Yeah. Abraham?
Well, just regarding that, kind of, if you feel uncomfortable, just remember, speak out, communicate. If it's the person that's making you uncomfortable, communicate with that person or with us or other people from the program, just to make sure that everybody's safe, and we'll be here for each other. That's the whole point. And just remind you to contact us if you have any problems of behavior or you feel like a little comfortable. And we can, again, it's just about talking things out, and we can manage a way to fix things, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we want to just, again, really reinforce the fact that both Abraham and I are here, as is Angie too. Even though Angie isn't present today, you do have her contact information. She's our go-to person for that added support as well. So if you feel like you need someone to speak to who is of the female gender, you can always contact Angie as well. And we are taking everything that happens in our community seriously. We are definitely aware of outside forces, and that's really important to us that we acknowledge them, and again, really make sure that you feel safe and comfortable here in our spaces. So
Louis.
yes.
So next week, 13th, because we have the wedding creative, right?
Next week, we're going to have actually our very first lesson. So Abraham is going to be leading our first lesson next week.
So next week on Monday, right? Or Tuesday?
On Tuesday.
Tuesday, got it.
Yeah. All right. So for those of you that are on YouTube, that have a YouTube account, we also definitely recommend that you actually subscribe to our YouTube channel. Help us reach that 100 subscriber mark. That's where we're at right now. At least that's the goal for the moment. That'll also help you basically get notified every time that we have any other workshop go up, which includes also the readings and other little, sometimes quick little tidbits, podcast episodes, things like that. So make sure that you do subscribe to our YouTube channel to help us out with
How do
that.
you do that?
You go to YouTube and search DSTL Arts. It's actually that easy.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that's what I did last week by accident. I
Yeah.
didn't. I just. It was just there, and it popped up. Remember, I told you?
Yeah, I
I was
remember you
surprised.
texted me that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised.
And yeah, and that's a way for you to see some of the other past workshops that we've offered. We do have in our back catalog of videos things like how to draw. We have some virtual reality experiences and some other pretty cool things that we've covered. So definitely go check that out on YouTube.
Oh,
Just
yeah, I
type
like
in
the draw.
DSTL Arts and the channel should pop right up.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. A new Tesla will be given to the 1 trillion subscriber. Yeah, we can't promise that quite yet, but hey, if we get there, who knows? So yeah, if no one else has any other questions, if y'all are feeling good about this upcoming series of Conchas y Café workshops, just know that we are still going to give people another week or so to enroll. But after next week, after the lesson that Abraham will be presenting next week, we will start assigning people to a cohort, either under me or Abraham. So we will be, be the ones that are responsible for giving you feedback and then passing on your work to the rest of the people in our cohort. I think that's what you wanted to ask, right? Yeah. All right. Cool. So yeah, I just answered Abraham's question about the cohort assignments. That'll happen next week after we give, our late arrivers a chance to enroll in the program. And yeah, if anyone has any questions after tonight, again, feel free to use either Google Classroom to post a question on the stream, or you can always email us directly as well. Thanks again, everyone. I hope y'all have a great rest of your night. Try to stay cool, try to stay fresh, and we'll talk
And
soon.
make sure you drink lots of water because it's really gross outside.
Yes, make sure you drink a ton of
And
water.
it's disgusting too. I get exhausted for the hot weather.
Yes, totally with you on that one, Alina.
Thank you so much for that information.
All right, take care, everyone.
It's
Have a
too
great
hot.
night.